Oh, he has chewed. John has chewed my ear on some Friday because we have meetings every Friday. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody here at the Chattanooga Hamfest and online. My name is Steve, call sign KI4KWR. I am the brand ambassador for Giga Parts. And my announcement forum for today is coming in spring of 2024. Giga Parts is making a big expansion. That expansion being a 55,000 square foot facility, store with the warehouse. And we're going to be offering a lot of new things to the Tennessee Valley. And what I can definitely say we are doing, astronomy, like it's listed here, general aviation, photography, of course, electronics, we do electronics, so we do all of that. Treasure hunting, plus that plus more coming soon. If there is something, and this is what I've been pushing all week about this announcement, we are not just a computer store. We do amateur radio. We have business to business. We do have a service department. So if you have a computer issue and you're in the Tennessee Valley, we can fix your computer. If you know anybody who has a business and is looking for business services, we offer that service also. So, trying to think of what is in store that will really, what we hope bring people to, one, the Rocket City, but Giga Parts. And for amateur radio, what store will allow you to come touch any radio and test it out before you buy it? Not many. We will have that capability. You'll be able to come in the store and go, I want to try, I'm just going to use the ICOM 7300. I want to come and try an ICOM 7300. You certainly can, and we will have a dipole antenna. I'm hoping to get a nice, good beam on top of the building on a tower, at least hopefully 50 feet up, so we get some good height. VHF, UHF. We're in the Rocket City, so we have the Space and Rocket Center just a few miles away. So if you want to do some satellite work, come do some satellite work. You want to see how everything works, we are going to offer classes. We're going to have a lot of little things that you can't find in a lot of companies. We're going to have. So I do have a short little video that will show a lot of what's in store plus more. I don't think we're going to get any video, or audio. Maybe if I do subtitles. There we go. It may not work, but we are gonna be available to do a lot of hobby related. It's not just going to be amateur radio on the computer side. We're going to be offering telescopes. Brands offered coming soon. We'll make those announcements. But we will have the ability to, like in the video here, one of our things is take a picture of, let's say, the moon. We're going to give away a monthly gift card for the best shot of the moon or a constellation. Here, they're just pretty much talking about, my computer's broke. Can you fix it? Yes, we can fix computers. One thing that we do have is we offer a 3-year warranty on all of our computers that we build. And there's no what we call bloatware. So you don't have to worry about software slowing down your computer. And that is one of the big things that a lot of the big box stores have problems with. They load the computers up with, as we call, bloatware, and you're complaining because I don't need this software on here. I just need to get on the internet and have email and maybe some Microsoft Office. We are going to have multiple clubs, which is going to be newsletters also. So if you want to come and do a class on, like this classes on flight instructions, we are actually going to have a flight simulator, we hope, at the time of opening this coming spring. Not sure like I said, we don't know what the brand is going to be, but we're going to have driving simulator. We're going to have racing simulator. We're going to have a lot of things that if you want to come and do a YouTube video for your own personal needs, we will have a video production studio that you can use. We're going to offer so much, and it's not just going to be back again to the just ham radio and computer. If it's a hobby, we are going to offer it. If it's something that you think of that we right now don't have on the table, we are looking for suggestions for the future. They're basically just talking right now about online order pickup. One of the things, and it's not been truly defined yet, but as you can see here, we are going to have a lot of capabilities for a lunch. Like, how many people in here, know about lunch and learns, where you come, you learn something, and you get a light snack or a box lunch. That's what we hope to offer. So if you want to come learn something, it'll be very inexpensive, and people will enjoy it. What she's explaining here now, I remember when we were making this up, we hope to gain more stores out of this. This is going to be our big expansion. We've been in operation for 25 years, so now it is time to really expand. So if there is something you see that we could offer, please let me know. If you have an idea of we need to we want to expand this to not just this one store. We want to really grow. So if you know somebody that's, says, I don't have ham radio near me, let us know. If you go to gigaparts.com and you click on the link for the expansion, we're asking, where do we need to grow? I've seen so far this week, New Jersey, Florida, Texas, South Dakota. We can't be everywhere, but our goal is to be where we can serve. More to me, personally, I think I would want something where the hobby is strong, where there is no store. Our poor guy here, he just wants to sign up for a photography class, but he wants to save money. So he's making bank. I don't know why he's making bank, but he's making bank. So pretty much from the press release, one of the things that I am very highly focusing on all week and will be focusing until grand opening happens in the spring is it's not just going to be for the youth. We are going to be offering the STEM program. Anybody here know about the STEM, science, technology, engineering, mechanical? We currently offer, of course, computers, 3D printers, radios, gaming furniture. I never thought gaming furniture would be so popular. And, people are buying gaming couches to game in, and that just blew my mind. PC repairs, we've always done PC repairs. business to business, that is probably one of our strongest things at Giga Parts is our B2B. We work together with NASA. Few of you in here have been to the Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville. A lot of the simulators and computers running a lot of the stuff in the Space and Rocket Center, we provide. And we want to grow. We want to be that company that is a niche, but at the same time offering things that nobody else is offering. Is there any online questions? No? Okay. Okay. No worries. Does anybody in here have any questions on Giga Parts in general? We do solar panels. We do a lot. And I know when I say we do a lot, one of the things that I started back when COVID really ramped up, because our big business at that point was computers, being at home, was people, when we were finally able to go out and, for ham radio, go out and play, Parks on the Air really ramped up. So we came out with solar panels, battery box. I have a battery box on display. We're going to be offering, we got the solar panels, mast and tripods. Part of the lines that I offer is for the people that want to go out to explore. Explorer brand. Kind of goes right with the name. So we do have solar panels, solar controllers, because not everybody wants to be at home. People want to go out and explore. Solar panels are not cheap. I will say there are a couple panels that I tested 2 years ago that, and I'm not busting on, I won't say the company names, but a panel that was $1,000 that I took, and did a comparison between the ones that we created and had made to theirs, and our power output from the sun was double what this panel at $1,000 cost. And that really shocked me, not only as the R&D tester, but as a daily user for doing this stuff, camping and doing POTAs. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you just give me some winger topics now, I will take that back with me, because there is, we have been talking about this for a very long time. And when I first joined the company 5 years ago, it was already being talked then. If the video would have had audio, we joke because the first person in the video is Steve. And it's not me, but it's the names that are in there are people that have been, we've actually made fun of the company and the growth of this to what it is now. And if you have an idea, like, you say something with, science and engineering, I'll take those ideas. You can always click on the web page, there's actually a link for like ideas for what to bring. Send them, and I say send them my way. Nothing is going to be ignored. You will get a response. It could be, and I threw this joke out to one, somebody said, what about like crocheting? And I chuckled when I read it, and I said, does Michael's Hobby Lobby not offer this? I don't know. I don't shop at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. But the woman responded back, they don't. But it's a hobby. Do I think we would ever do something like crocheting? Probably not. But we have such an interest in the engineering and that STEM-related thing that we're looking for ideas, because we want to cater to the customer. And of course, at the same time, gain, as we call it, Giga fans. We want that return customer and loyalty. So if you have any, throw them out there. Got the wheels turning, the gears. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those solar panels are different from what we currently offer. Those solar panels are, I don't know the price point on them, but I will say if it's very similar to the ones like they have at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center for people to plug up to charge, I don't want to say they're not cheap, but it's not anything like our, $200-300 solar panel that provides enough to trickle charge a battery box. Do your research, especially for that. It does take some, if you want to do the house plus the car and all that, it's not going to be a small, field. Yeah, the one my stepdad who passed away a couple years ago, he had the whole detached garage covered in solar panels, and I would rib him for the 20 plus years that I knew him when he married my mom, and I would always say, Ron, how much power are you actually generating? I found out last year when I was up there helping my mom clean out some stuff in the garage, this little shack in this, and she goes, he had enough battery backup between the detached garage and in the basement to power the house for 5 days with no electricity, and would cut the power off to the house to do this, because in Pennsylvania you can have solar panels but you can't feed back into the power grid. And I don't know if Tennessee is the same way like other states, or Georgia, or even Alabama. I live in Alabama, but I have a solar panel, but it only services my ham shack stuff to feed my battery backup. So if I lose power in the shack, it automatically switches over to the two battery boxes feeding both stations. I know of getting into the solar panel with EV type of activity. There's a guy in, I want to say Wyoming. He's using almost an acre to do his house, garage, and his 5 Teslas. No, like I said, 5 Teslas. I don't know how big the house is, but if he's using an acre alone just in solar panels, he's got something huge going on. He's probably pulling a 4 kilowatt kind of solar service and relying on that sun. But that is something we could certainly do. There is so much knowledge in the Tennessee Valley for us, especially Huntsville.
Your location is perfect.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to access, easier than Chattanooga. It's a drive we take 2 or 3 times a year.
It's amazing, Giga Parts. It really shocked me in the last couple of years doing ham radio day, our little kind of dealer showcase day. I'll have people come up to me and I'll be like, don't you live in Marietta? Don't you live in Memphis? I'd rather drive 4 hours than drive to the local store, because I can gain knowledge and the same day have a fun day trip. Yes, we do have a lot in Huntsville, and it is growing every day. You got anything? You love the Space and Rocket Center. You and I have been talking about that all morning setting up. It was. I will definitely say it was a challenge finding a location, because of course location is key in Huntsville. And if you've been there and this area, if you've been to Mid-City where the old Madison Square Mall was, hope I'm saying that right. We're right in that same vicinity of the Madison Square Mall on University Drive.
I've got one question.
Yes.
This is out of curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered about it. What is the difference between solar panels on spacecraft and solar panels?
I asked that question in one of our actually club meetings when N4NM, hope I got his call sign right, Chuck Lewis, who worked on Space Lab, and I asked that question, what is the difference between those panels and the panels we use at home or on a Parks on the Air? Of course, he went into his engineering mumbo jumbo technical, and it's something with the glass and that photo, I always butcher the name of it, but it's the cells. Those cells, and it goes back to that cost of doing like a home setup. I know when I had my solar panels in New Jersey, living on the Jersey Shore, I was happy I didn't have to pay the $30,000 to have it installed on the rental property I was renting. But in the same avenue, I never had an electric bill starting day one at that point, because we were not only feeding the house, but we were feeding back into the power grid that we were getting credited by Atlantic City Electricity for the solar power. And I had to get 3 of those panels replaced, not because of panels being defective. It was something with the panel design. Like it would get, like the glass cover for the cells would crack, almost like a windshield. That's why I said they're not cheap. But they do come with, some of them come with a 10-year warranty. I'm starting to see more of the home install type being 30-year panels. So I think they think they're supposed to last a lifetime. Biggest problem with solar. Are you a ham operator? Okay. Now I go into the part B, oh, by the way. When I took my Go kit out of my truck and plugged it into my mom's garage, the noise coming off the inverter was just ear-wrenching S9. So I give you that little tech bit of the day.
Actually, we've already discovered that, so planning for that, and my husband has just found a brand new one that meets that, code 15 or whatever.
Yeah, there's, I go with now we're in the non-Giga Parts kind of learning lesson of the day, but I had that pain even living in New Jersey, and the solar company, when they pulled up, granted I was in a rental too, so this wasn't even a home owned by me. They saw my antennas in the backyard, and I just remember the guy getting out of the truck and going, we've got a problem here. And as soon as he said, this guy's a ham radio operator, the inverter that was in the truck in the van was now being swapped out with a different version that is pure sine wave and all that engineering requirements.
What we discovered was that they were manufacturing those for commercial operators that wouldn't interfere, but not for the residential.
Yep.
Now I guess there's one that provides that.
Yeah, the company we had in New Jersey, I can only speak for that company, and I don't want to say they're out of business. I think they just merged with another major supplier. They started putting those inverters in all the residential homes because you shouldn't have noise. Because it's not going to just affect the ham radio side. If you listen to AM and FM radio, it's going to be the same problem. And it's like my tech tip all the time with a lot of HF operators. I've got power line noise. Are you sure it's power line noise, or are you sure it's in your house? Do you have solar panels? And I get the dreaded, Steve's asking me 11 questions again, and he's just going to burn me out. Power line noise, solar noise, inverter noise, we all hate. And I know I hate it, but we have to live with it if we're portable. I get that. Unless you buy a quality, solar charger, inverter, my plug of the day for that would be Genasun, because they don't cause any noise or interference. Genasun. That's a very good solar controller if you want something like for a portable setup. They're very small. They're no bigger. I can use this as a reference. They're no bigger than this, piece of paper, and maybe 2 inches high. You just plug it from your solar panel and then, input and then output to your battery bank or what have you. But Jenison, we sell it, and I have vetted it so much. And it works for deep cycle batteries and the lithium iron phosphates. Solar panels, I'm just going to go with my opinion on that. A solar panel is a solar panel is a solar panel. You've got the expensive ones, you've got the mid-range, and then you have the Harbor Freight version. And they're okay. You get what you pay for. And that's why I stick in that mid-grade level, the ones we offer that are foldable. It's not for permanent setup. Then you have the ones that are permanent setup, but you run that risk of if something hits it or it gets damaged from hail. That is your biggest, if you're prone to a lot of hail, and I know you can't predict hail, but if kind of the trend analysis, we get hail 3 times a year. Should I really be going with this panel if I know I'm going to have this problem? I've got a Bioeno panel, foldable panel that's not for a permanent setup, and it lasted my storm damage back in July when we had an EF0 come through the neighborhood. So definitely my advice for what you want to do is do your due diligence homework. But going back to his solar panel question with space shuttles and International Space Station, I can remember Chuck saying that those panels have a very thick layer of, I don't know if it's a Lexan, or some kind of polymer, thickness. But, some of those have been, how long has the International Space Station been up there? 20 plus years now, if not longer? Yeah. And space, there is space junk up there. And that is one of the topics that has been mentioned so much to us, even before the announcement, is space junk. Because the schools want to learn about space junk, because I'm sure everybody here in Chattanooga every once in a while sees the Starlink, constellation flying by. There's a lot more junk out there from other countries than what meets the eye. Any other questions? We will have GMRS radios. It's already on the list. That's an animal that I was telling your network guy out there, but while we were setting up, GMRS radios are a very hard animal to even get made and even keep in stock, even with, I'm going to throw up Midland. And I'm starting to notice a lot of GMRS groups want the Kenwood radios, Motorola, and another company besides Anytone. So even if you guys have ideas for us when it comes to that kind of radio infrastructure stuff.
The problem we've been finding with Midland specifically is they're not user-friendly. You don't have all the EL tones and things like that. So people spend big money on Midland only to find out they're disappointed when you look at that map and
Yep.
well, I can't use some of those repeaters because they don't have all the EL tones.
My wife bought me, I don't know which model it is of the Midland. I know it was released last May. It's the nice 50 watt with the nice hand, everything's right in the mic kind of thing. And granted, yes, we live in Huntsville, so for us to take our 4-hour trip across 20, I couldn't hit. Once I got in, I always use Six Flags as my, reference point, but I couldn't hit most of the, and I don't know if it was a PL tone, it could have been me in the truck.
Can I mention something?
Sure.
I've got a Midland 400. It does not have the DCS 115, but if you put in DCS 16,
It works. I went to Overland mountain last year. And that was one thing that was brought up was to the Midland rep was he didn't want to say that their radios suck. I think he was trying to be very gentle, but even the GMRS repeaters we have in Huntsville going down to Birmingham that are popping up. And do I think some of these repeater owners are doing this on purpose to keep the Midland people off? Sure. But Midland's the only one that has that, to what I'm seeing, Midland's the only one to have that problem. But the problem that I have is, let's say I take our QRZ1 and try to make that into a GMRS radio. And I don't think TYT wants to even venture that, and I think they're trying, but
Well, the difference too is you gotta pay for the certification from the FCC.
and that is not cheap.
I know. But I don't think that, and this is my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
that Midland is forthcoming enough to let consumers know their downfall. By the time they realize that they bought this $500 radio and can't talk to our Lula repeater or our Chattanooga repeater because the tones aren't there,
Yeah.
it's too late. And now they're stuck holding the bag on a $500 radio that they can't use for the repeater that's closest to their house.
Yeah.
And I can see why, as a consumer side, that would be very frustrating for them.
And that is one thing I hate. I don't want angry customers. And the information that they even gave us for the Midlands we sell, I have to point them back to Midland. And it's like, I cringe because I don't want to lose a customer over a vendor not,
And you're the middleman.
and I'm the middleman.
And then we see it on our side, on the flip side. Well, I bought this radio, why doesn't it work?
And then I'll use let the QRZ1 thing. It took me and 3 other people a year and a half to perfect that radio. Yes, everybody knows it's a TYT UV88 that we modified the firmware and made it user-friendly. And trying to do that for a GMRS radio that's tagged our radio, though it's made by them. I don't want that flack. And it's coming back to the Midland syndrome. And Kenwood, I don't think is an issue. Motorola certainly is not an issue. Anytone, I've got my own issues with Anytone radios, but that's more, they promise a feature that, oh wait, you got to get a firmware that if you put it on, it voids the warranty. Try to get around that as the middleman. And then they don't want to take the radio back as a vendor. I'm not sure what radios your guys out there have. If they have the 878 UV2 or the UV Plus. But there was a model at one point, especially during COVID. Oh, it'll do all this. It'll do GMRS. No, it won't. Welcome in. She said you were going to buy her a new kitchen. Oh, wrong discussion. Sorry. What would you like to see in Huntsville or Giga Parts? Anything.
Chattanooga's not effective. It's not big enough.
I'm gonna cover my shirt, and it's. I think it would. Do I think we could put a Giga Parts in Chattanooga? It's a. I'm just the face of the company. Don't get me wrong when I say this. There are areas that would be great to have a technology superstore. And it's one of those, we have to do that due diligence of, you ask the question, would Chattanooga, be a great place for,
We're large enough, but I could be wrong.
It may help the Knoxville, but then you got the Knoxville people going, well, we've got more technology than Chattanooga. Are we going to be able to appease everybody? No. I don't see why we couldn't put anything in Chattanooga.
What about a satellite store, maybe smaller?
I could see never, I'm going to go with the phrase never say never. Do I think something in this caliber in Chattanooga?
No.
Probably not. And I'm not, like I say off the Giga Parts record, probably not.
Computers and radio
Could a computer's radio? Sure.
repair?
A repair facility, for sure. That is probably one of the biggest things that in this whole brainstorming, how much repair do we do before it gets out of our scope though? Because most radios today are buy now, throw away later. It's about Bofang. And I get the question almost everywhere I go. Forum, non-forum, conventions, Hamfest. Why don't you sell Baofeng? And I get that little tingle, shake, and it's all because of in the beginning. The spurious emissions is out there. You can get vetted, you can go through FCC, and if the higher up said, we want to carry Baofeng, I will fight it as much as I can. Because I want to sell you a radio that I know is going to work without no issues. Because if it doesn't work, then it goes back to, I'm the middleman and I'm the one that has...
One that's a throwaway, but that's me.
Yeah. And the cost of repair for radios, the current day radios, is not cheap. It is not cheap. And for me to send in, I'll go with because I know for a fact one of the radios I have here, that refurb, I think it's an FTM 300 I have out there. For that, if that was a consumer radio, out of warranty, now Yaesu comes with 3-year warranty, so we're going to say this is out of warranty repair. That radio, it wasn't that radio, but it was a common issue in the beginning. That radio, the display would go bad, sitting in the sunlight. That's all it was just the display. They would charge you $90 an hour to fix a $10 LCD screen.
You have to put a protective display cover that will block the UV or whatever.
Yeah. And the radios are designed to be thrown away. Some, not all, but some. Now, if you do proper R&D and you actually vet your product before you put it on the market, that's a whole other topic I could go through, as I call, ham radio from the dealer perspective. Probably one of the best presentations I've ever given in the Huntsville area for the clubs. And it wasn't, being negative on the manufacturers, but listen to your customers. The GMRS group, I love getting feedback from that group. They chewed my ear last year when they were here for the first time. And I had nothing, I was taking notes and took that back to, as I call it, Giga Parts Skunk Works. What do you want us to do for you? And I can't do everything. And that's why here, even with this expansion, I can't do everything, but give us ideas. What's out there that is not available?
The word satellite store is what I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
Something that does this, does that, but not everything.
Yeah. And I think go back to her idea of like day trips. I think if let's say we had the satellites, we have a satellite store, and I'm going to go back to the solar topic, and we have maybe Jenison come in, power film. I'm sure people from up here would come down to go, I can go and do a lunch and learn with power film and learn about Jenison. Well, have Jenison and power film there. I use those two current vendors we offer. Mm-hmm. Which radio? 991A. I brought, and this wasn't done on purpose, I brought the last one we had in the warehouse here today. I'll tell you her name if you want to like duke it out with her, but I have more on the way. That's a very hard radio to get because it is tagged as the Shack in the Box. It's a very popular radio, just like the ICOM IC7100. Now ICOM is finally listening to the customer base and kind of making a version 2. But I've got so many customers asking for that radio also.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
I've got a, what is it, something 5D.
Their FT5DR.
What do you think of that?
FT5DR. I love these questions, honestly.
I don't use it very often, but I've got it.
FT5DR, when it first came out, and I still have this, it's actually our showroom display radio at the Huntsville store. It's serial number 5. I took it home, and I'm like that little 10-year-old taking his toys apart. And the bottom volume knob wiggled. So I just put that on my, let's look into this further. Radio to me is a great radio. Does every radio have a downfall in some capacity? Absolutely. There is never going to be a perfect radio. Goes back to my make sure you R&D your radio before you release it to the world. Contacted Tim Factor from Yaesu. If you've ever been to the bigger shows, Tim is the older gentleman. He's always standing near the big radios.
Is that a repairable radio?
It is a repairable radio. They will sell you certain parts. One thing with these newer radios that make them the buy now, throw away later is the power buttons because they're side mounted on the board. And if you are one to mash the button, unless you're a really good micro solderer, it is not repairable.
Well, you send that off to Yaesu, wouldn't you?
I have sent 2 off to Yaesu since that radio's been out, and one has come back. The cost to repair it is almost as much as the cost of the radio brand new. We very rarely send radios off for repair. Very rarely. And that's a very honest, very rare. The radios that we're sending off are people that are playing on 11 meters. They pay for the Mars mod and they're using it for CB use.
Is that 5DR waterproof?
If you do the Mars mod, if anybody does the Mars mod, there's that gasket. Once you break that gasket, it's not waterproof.
To use plug in speaker mic, we have to pull that little rubber seal.
Yeah, once you pull that rubber seal, and it's almost, it's one of those avenues I cringe to even discuss with customers, but I will.
You just have to keep in mind, don't get it wet.
If you're in a drizzle, that's one thing. Monsoon, downtown Chattanooga, or you drop it in a puddle, you're playing that 50-50 game at that point. But they rate them as IP, usually IP7, which that doesn't mean take it swimming at the beach or to, the lake. It's for that splash or light drizzle, not going swimming or scuba diving off, the Tennessee River.
Hiking in the rain. It may be okay.
Yeah. There's one radio, I know the radio for a fact. Their VX6R is rated to go underwater for 3 feet for 30 minutes. Now, in that statement,
I wouldn't do it anyway.
I wouldn't either, but in that statement, did I ever say that you're transmitting? No. I wouldn't do it. But people, we have had customers take their radios to the beach. Take it to the beach. Don't get it wet. Don't take it swimming with you, you know. Keep it out of the surf and the sand. Sand will damage your radio. Another tech tip. Because we all, and I'm going to go, if this is field day weekend syndrome, we all have to use bug spray if you're playing real field day out in the field. Don't use anything with DEET in it. It will eat the knobs on your radio. And how do I know this? Old Stevie here at 43 years old should have known better. Doing field day, and I took off. And, of course, we're all playing with our VFO knob during field day. I go to wash my hands, go eat dinner with the boys. I come back to the radio, and my knobs are starting to crumble.
I've got one other problem with my radio.
What is it?
If I don't use it for maybe a week or two, then I have to charge it again. Why is that? Now, I've turned the GPS off, so it's not drawn into current, but it still needs charging.
Yeah, I have asked that question at Orlando, Dayton, Huntsville, to John Kruk, the North American National Sales Manager. I have never been given a reason, but even the FT70 does the same thing.
I just have to make sure.
I kind of always tell everybody, unplug take the battery off. Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah, I could disconnect the battery.
just disconnect the battery. It's one of our biggest, sales, item is Yaesu radios. But the FT7 and the FT5 have a battery issue. No, I thought that had said Kenwood. ICOM 7100, they have been out of stock since a year now, since Halloween last year. See, if you're looking for a shack-in-the-box radio with all-in-one, it's going to be the 991A. And I don't know if the web page still has where you can get a stock alert, and it'll send you an email as soon as they get received in the warehouse. Some of our products still have that. But that started little customer wars with us because we get them in, you get the email, and then you're fighting that battle of however many are on that mail list, getting to the web page and ordering.
I've got an FT100DR mobile.
Don't get rid of it.
They used at Zello for new products.
Yes.
Now, I don't keep mine in the car. I move from the car to my apartment, with my base station in my apartment, so I can always put it in my car with the mobile antenna. I can go between the two, but I will not keep it in a hot sun or hot car.
Nope. And I know for the people in the crowd, how many people actually read the manuals for their radios? And I can probably point to one person in here. She probably reads the manuals. Okay, you're supposed to go yes, but I go back to I don't get a lot of returns on radios. But when I got a 857D back and the screen looked like somebody took like a punch to it, and you could tell the radio was sitting in the sun, or it was on the dash, just constantly getting sun, like they lived in Nevada.
I've worked in electronic communications all my life. I know what hot temperatures do.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe even super cold in the winter. I don't know. But
That will you bring up a good one with super cold. I have a customer who buys radios up in Anchorage. He has to keep them in constant higher than 30 degrees, of course, close to freezing. Because if you turn on a radio at 0 degrees, and I did this myself with a broken radio that was already kind of written off for not being repairable. When we had that -10 cold spell back in January, I turned that radio on outside and watched the screen explode because One, I shocked it at minus 10 degrees, and I just watched it just spider internally and just completely just flood itself with that liquid crystal, stuff. All right, I got 4 minutes before I get kicked out of here. No problem. Any questions?
No, I did not buy my radio for you guys, but I will next time.
Yeah, you said that last year. So I will close with, yes, we are expanding. If you have anything that you want us to sell, it doesn't have to be just in the store. If there's things in this hobby that we are not selling, beat me up on it.
Reduce that 100 PR. Everybody wants it.
The cost of the board. Even though they have the drawings, it's the cost of getting that board. And the whole chip fire in, was that China, Malaysia, did not help these brands. That was one of their killers, was that and that alone. Any other questions? Comments, concerns, gripes, complaints? It'll be interesting. I want to say it was 2025. I think it was Kenwood talked a little about it in Dayton. If anybody has not seen that THD 75 handheld they're coming out with, I don't have a picture on my phone of it anymore. That's going to be an expensive radio, and if they come out with a mobile version of that with D-Star, that's going to be interesting. Some of the chips are made in Japan. Most of the Yaesu components are made in Japan. Some of the radios, and I'm sure a few of the radios out there on the table will say made in Taiwan. We can't get around. I mean, I don't think any of these manufacturers can get around that.
Can't figure out by FT5D if it's Japanese or Chinese.
Well, I was gonna say we'll look at the box because I got 1 or 2 of them out there.
I don't have a radio with me.
Yeah.
It does say made in Japan, but that doesn't mean anything.
If it, because I went through this with the R&D with the QRZ1 and a couple other things that were slowly trickling out. If the radio, and it's a weird import kind of thing. If the radio is built in China, it has to say China. It gets very hairy with imports and all these crazy laws. Made in Japan, yeah. There are stuff though, if the components are made, it has to be listed where it was assembled. That's what I think is the fine print of it, where it was assembled. It's almost like I use the Ford F-150 kind of thing. Some of it's done in Mexico, some of it's made in Canada, but then all your F-150s are sitting up at the old Kentucky Speedway too.
Some made in China.
Or made in China too, and shipped over.
That's
Yep.
like Cadillac. But
Yep.
some are made in China and they ship to the United States.
Yep.
Assembly.
But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Who's next? Oh, GMRS Part 2. All right. He's the leader of the pack, isn't he?